getting ready for the live stream. A lot of movie reviews today here on Mirror Domains. A lot of catch up to do here. Been really busy here, and thought we would just get underway here with just some housekeeping for people who may not be aware. We do movie reviews here. We do live reactions of things, and recently we did the Stranger Things reactions. And for some reason, I'm not the only one that got slapped on the wrist for Stranger Things Season 5, Episode 7. It's been caught up in YouTube legal jail. They've been trying to say cut it down, and it's been completely butchered. The stuff that I have to cut out, and it's like, guys, the sound wasn't even on in this part. Why are you claiming it? It's because if you don't know how it works, I tend to do two screens, right? I tend to do like a big screen like this, and then I put a big blur thing over it, and if that's on, if that works like this, then we're good. But YouTube is saying, no, James, can't do it like that. You're gonna have to cut it out. And I'm like, oh, I'm at a loss for words, because I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to just either reshoot the entire thing, which sucks, or I'm gonna have to try to file a claim against them to say that no, it's fair use, and if that's successful, then after 10 days it'll get released. Or I'll get hit back with another kind of slap on the wrist and say, no, it's definitely, you can't do it. And then be like, well, then that really hurts the channel, right? I'll lose my ability to live stream. And I don't know if I want to risk that. So I might put up a poll and say, guys, what do you think? What should I do? Ella McKay is a good movie, sort of. No, I don't know. It comes in at 23% on the tomato meter. No, God, James, that's terrible. That's terrible. Hey. Ella McKay stars Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Albert Brooks. And it comes in at, 23% on the tomato meter, 57% by the audience. That means, well, a lot of people didn't like this movie. And I gotta say that I'm a little bit shocked, because the cast is fairly well-rounded. It has, well, Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's really good in this film, Albert Brooks, Spike Fern, Woody Harrelson, Rebecca Hall, Kumail Nanjiani. Guys, it's directed by James L. Brooks, and it tells the tale of an idealistic young woman jungles her family and work life in a comedy about the people you love and how to survive them. Well, that's a very vague premise right there, isn't it? That doesn't really describe a whole lot. Let me try to do a little bit better here. Basically, she's a lieutenant governor, and she's got this weird family, and then the main governor gets promoted to the president's cabinet, and she's going to be taking over as governor of this state. It's got a narrator throughout who played by Julia Kavner. She's the voice of Marge Simpson, and boy, her voice is going downhill. So the movie suffers because of that runtime. The runtime of this movie is an hour and 55 minutes, and it's got some serious pacing issues where her story is very interesting, right? How she's going to juggle the weight of this new responsibility of becoming governor, and then she's got this family issues going on in the background. The problem is the family issues. The movie really suffers because of that. Her husband, who seems like a good dude in the beginning, is vying for popularity and power, and will step over anybody to get that popularity. And it's like, well, why is that? The father is also somebody who's kind of like not a good influence, because he is a womanizer. And it's like, okay, these are some really good ingredients here, but the movie suffers about halfway through when she goes to her brother, who's like this eccentric recluse who is also a millionaire. And it loses its entire steam. Its entire weight of the story gets lost in this one part where it's all about him and this weird brother that just, he's not all together up here. And it's like, for 20 minutes, we're with him. And it's like, I want to get back to the main story of her. I want to know about Ella McKay. That's the movie I'm watching. But for some reason now, we're watching the story about this weird brother trying to make amends with his estranged girlfriend because he's weird. And now she's also weird. And it's like, hey, this is funny, isn't it? Unfortunately, no, it's not. So with that being said, you kind of get the sense as to where this is going. Let's go over to my score sheet here and start filling in some numbers for Ella McKay. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. Acting, Emma Mackey is good, but Jamie Lee Curtis also is really good. And there's a bit of an ensemble here. Woody Harrelson's always good. Albert Brooks is good. So based on that, I'll give the acting 1.5. The directing has got some serious issues. The technical aspects are handled well, like it's framed well, but like the execution of the story here is where we fall flat on our face because it's got tempo problems. It's got mood problems. It's kind of like, well, she's going to dig herself out of this hole, right? Oh, we're seeing her dig herself out of this hole. But no, let's cut over to this other character and learn about his weird girlfriend and why he doesn't want to leave his house or something. It's just totally, it just derails multiple times. And I got to fault the director and I got to fault the story for that because this is script issues. This is not people ad-libbing to the story and then, well, let's try to edit around that. No. This was something that was probably in the script and for some reason it was given a thumbs up. Probably because Albert Brooks was in this, and then that weight was there with James L. Brooks. It didn't work, guys. Cinematography, as I said, it's well framed, but there's nothing in there that makes you go, oh, I got to check that out. The score is serviceable. So we're sitting at 4.5 right now for Ella McKay. Let's go back to the tomato meter and see if we can make any sense out of this 23% by critics, 57% by the audience. So people just don't like this movie. Let's try to get some information here. Chicago Reader. It's bewildering to watch as the characters oscillate between various emotions and motivations, making it impossible to track what is going on. Yes. 1.5. This is a woolly, self-congratulatory fossil of a film. Nostalgic for an imaginary past in U.S. politics when an idealist's only real obstacle was the jadedness of an older generation. And I like that part of it. Again, it's like, yeah, okay, this is the older way of doing it. She's younger. She's got some fresh ideas and she's ready to like capitalize on all that. But then we just get totally derailed by this other stuff. Yeah. Let's see what the audience is saying here. Seemed to drag on, not much oomph to it. Good acting performances. Didn't like the story. Yeah. My wife was wanted to see this movie since about a month before it came out, and we made special plans to see it today. Okay, good. I can't hit more, but the story is a good concept, but the main movie is mediocre at best. The main actress is naturally beautiful. And Emma Mackey, yes. And she does a great job, guys. No doubt about that. She's got talent. And it's just, this was just a huge swing and a miss. What's the consensus of critics here? Well-intentioned but woefully undisciplined. James L. Brooks' comedy about a woman trying to have it all is so totally misjudged that it winds up with not much of anything to recommend. Audience says it's hard to stay disenchanted with Ella McKay, the woman, but as a film, its earnest and dated approach sabotages the seed of true rebellion it plants, which never fully blooms. Okay, I don't know if there's any need here to be poetic about it, but yeah, you see where this is going. It's not resonating, and that's a huge problem. So to wrap this up, watchability factors out at 2 points. If you found the premise intriguing, I would say, okay. If you are a fan of any of these actors, Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, go check it out. Jamie Lee Curtis is good in that. Is good in this. And based on that, I'm going to give it a full watchability point. It's worthwhile streaming for sure. But don't expect to be wowed at the end of the film being like, oh, I'm transformed now. Not all art has to do that, but this just feels like, yeah, you really want to have that fast forward button for this film. 5.5 for Ella McKay. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, come join us on the channel because we are also going to be reviewing Eternity, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Housemaid, Anaconda, and Marty Supreme, right here on Mirror Domains. Okay, that was better. That was better. Here we go again. Eternity stars Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, and Calum Turner, and comes in at 77% on the tomato meter, 91 by the audience. So people really like this film. And I liked about 95% of it. What does it tell? It tells the tale of a woman in the afterlife who has to sort it out between her two ex-husbands. So the synopsis reads, in an afterlife where souls have 1 week to decide where to spend eternity, Joan is faced with the impossible choice between the man she spent her life with and her first love, who died young and has waited for decades for her to arrive. The standouts here is Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Calum Turner, because this is resting all on their acting abilities. And if you know me, I'm an Elizabeth Olsen fan, and this movie showcases her talents all the way because you're going through a myriad of emotions here, kind of from sad to happy to lost to frustrated, and she's able to do that fairly well. So the premise is that Miles Teller here is the first one to pass on, and you see the movie through his eyes first, kind of like learning about what this stage of the afterlife is, where you kind of go to this, not purgatory, but you kind of go to this staging ground where you've got to decide which eternity is good for you. And that's where it kind of lost me a little bit with their explanation of this world building of like, okay, I can understand a resting period or an examination period of your life as to were you successful in your endeavors and did you have fun? It kind of reminded me of that older movie, Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks, where he was in the afterlife in this examination period, and he had a like an attorney there played by Rip Torn, and they would look at his life and say, okay, were you successful? Do you think that you should move on in the universe? And I like that kind of abstract stuff. So when I was seeing that here in Eternity, I was like, this is good stuff. And you've put a really interesting premise here as to, well, okay, if I'm going to see all the people that I used to love, that makes sense, right? That I would see my past loves. And it puts a real interesting conundrum on the table here. So the premise for Eternity is really good. And it's like, wait, did you really love your husband though? Would you want to stay with that person for the rest of your life, like for eternity? Like that is a very interesting premise philosophically, right? And then of course, when she meets her first love, and it's like that raw animalistic kind of puppy love, it's like, okay, now you've kind of doubled up my curiosity here. How's she going to feel from this, right? And you can tell like it's really well executed in the two guys here kind of jousting for her. Right? No, I was the first love, so you should step aside. But I was married to her for like 40 years, dude. So, I mean, come on. Like the premise there is sound and it is very interesting, but it kind of falters towards the third act where it's kind of trying to resolve everything. And it may not work for everybody because they try to play out most of the scenarios that you could think of up here. And when it's doing that, it's kind of like, oh, I thought the movie was over now. I don't know if I wanted to go down this angle anymore. And it's kind of like, okay, it does wrap up everything, and it does answer all the questions. But as I said, it may not work for everybody, because it's kind of like, well, I kind of want him to go, or I kind of want her to go with that guy instead. And it does have a few scenes where you just get to see Elizabeth Olsen and Miles Teller have it out, kind of like, look at this preposterous situation. Look at how I'm being torn between these two people that obviously love me, and should I go with which one? It's a really fun, interesting way to look at it. And then these two get into fisticuffs at times, and it's it's a fun watch. That's the way I would say. Okay, with that being said, let's fill out some numbers now for Eternity. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are 1 point. And I got to give the acting at least 1.5 for the ensemble here. Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, and Callum Turner. But because of Elizabeth Olsen's abilities here, and that there's a few scenes in here where you just... it's hard to explain, because she's with one of them, and you can tell that she's thinking about her life with the other one. And whatever side you fall on here, you can just see that coming through her. And it's just like, wow, this is awesome. And based on that, I'm going to give it a full 2 points. Directing. Now, technically, it was well shot. So I'm going to give all the technical points there. But let's talk about the execution of the story, where I think it does meander a little bit in that third act, where it's kind of like trying to satisfy all the bases. And as I said, I think it may work on a second viewing better, but on that first viewing, I think it may be a little bit jarring for people as we're exploring these options, right? It'll be like, I liked it ending there. I don't know if we should continue like this. But it does make sense at the end. It really does. So the story overall, it has an interesting premise. It's A24, right? And I like the existentialism angle behind it. So I'm going to give it a 1.5 as well. I just feel like we were missing maybe a few key questions here. And I'll explain it here just as I give cinematography and score. They were mediocre there. They served the story. So to wrap up what I mean about the story here being missing a few of the beats, it's kind of like, well, you set this premise up, but do you really have to spend eternity in one of these chosen afterlives? Like, really? Does that make a whole lot of sense to anybody? You spent your entire life doing good, and now you have to choose one specific thing. Like, there's just a few things in there that just didn't quite make sense. That maybe with some exposition could have been flushed out a little bit more, explored a little bit more, because it's about finding your true self and who your real soulmate is. So for me, it was just missing a few beats. But other than that, like, guys, we're sitting at 6 out of 10. Let's go back to the tomato meter here and see if what people are saying as a consensus. Now, the critics were a little bit lower with the 77%. I say it's worthwhile. Irish Dimes. One ends up longing for a sniff of reality, but the three leads demonstrate absolute belief in romantic absolutes as we drift towards a class of snob-heavy denouement Hollywood now rarely attempts. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about, the denouement. Now, like, that's the conclusions of the story, right? That's where things wrap up. It made me giggle quite a lot watching this movie. Divine Joy Randolph, put her in any movie you want, it's going to be just fine. So that's she played kind of like the attorney there, or the person that was supposed to guide them in the afterlife, right? Let's see what some of the audience members are saying. Loved it, great film, expertly crafted, fun premise and plot, great characters, and kept you guessing. Yeah, seriously, such a good movie. Love the story, the humor, the heart-touching moments. Makes one rethink death. There was something missing for me, but overall enjoyed the movie. So, like, despite some of those smaller things that I'm talking about, like about the execution towards the end, you kind of overlook that because you're watching good performances and you're watching this really interesting story unfold where it's like, well, which one is she going to go for? And then it's just like, does that make sense? Does that really, would you do that? And it's just like, what would I do in that situation? It's just like, wow, this movie has got me hooked. So for me, yeah, I'm going to be up there. I'm going to be up there with what the audience is saying. I'm going to not be as high as the 70, as the 91%, but I'm probably going to be around the 8, I think, for Eternity, because it's just one of those weird abstract movies. And as you know, anything about me here on the channel, I like weird abstract movies. So to watch, end this out, the watchability factor, actually, I'm going to be more probably with the, watchability is out at 2 points. If you like the premise, I would say at least watch it at least once. It's going to be on streaming now. 1.5, I would watch this again in a heartbeat. And would I even study this film? I think I probably would. So why not? I'll give the full watchability 2 points. 8 out of 10 for Eternity. And I feel good about that. What do you guys think? Did you guys see this movie? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this type of thing, come join us here on Mirror Domains, because we also reviewed Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Housemaid, Anaconda, Marty Supreme, and Ella McKay, right here on Mirror Domains. All right, that worked a lot better. Did it not? Did it not? I don't know why I've always got to reset this. I got to move off this. I'm scrolling. I accidentally scroll when I hit the close button from this screen. Okay, let's readjust those posters again. This one's going to be easy to do because it stinks. And I got a neat idea for like the best and worst movies of the year. I'm going to try to put up like 2 or 3 at the same time and say, out of these 3, what would you like to watch first? And that's how I'm going to rank it. It'll be kind of like, here's the movies for the 10th spot. And I'll put up the posters and you guys we'll have a few minutes to mull over each one, and then I'll say, well, this is the first one that I watched, so this is number 10, and then we'll move on from there. Like, just start chopping it down like that. And that'll show you what the honorable mentions were and stuff like that. So, that being said, let's get into this monstrosity that was Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Freddy Fazbear is back in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That comes in at the tomato meter. 16% by the critics. 85 by the audience. So people who are fans of the franchise, I'm guessing, like this movie. Critics, cinephiles like us, not so much. Now, my experience of this movie was I didn't hate it. But I also felt like this doesn't feel like what you were trying to set up in the first movie. Now, I don't know all the Easter eggs and stuff in this, but it felt like there was a lot of stuff in here that was giving nods to the actual game. This is softball horror, Five Nights at Freddy's. You know why? Because when I saw this movie, there were about 30 small kids running into the theater to watch this movie. So it's not that scary of a movie if you're looking for horror. It's just one of those things where it suffers a little bit from sequelitis, I would imagine. 1 year after the supernatural nightmare of Five Nights at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, Abby runs away to reconnect with her animatronic friends, uncovering dark secrets about the true origins, or oranges as some say, of Freddy's. and unleashing a horror of hidden for decades. Oh, God. This movie is just not good. It's not well executed. It's got some valiant attempts at acting. Josh Hutcherson is not a leading man. He's not good. But the young kid here, Piper Rubio, does a good job as Abby. Kind of sucks that we don't see much of Elizabeth Lale, though. Matthew Lillard has one scene. McKenna Grace has one scene. Guys, it just has the potential here. It's got so much potential because you've got the right ingredients for a kind of, well, schlocky romp. And it just completely falls flat on its face. It's one of those things where you're watching this, and if you're not knowledgeable about the game, then you're going to be screaming for a fast forward button. Now, I think that's pretty much all I can say about this, because I don't want to ramble on and bore people with the specifics of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, because it's just... the quicker said, the better. Acting, directing, and story are out of possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1. Acting, they've tried. And because of McKenna Grace, you know I'm a McKenna Grace fan, and because of the younger girl that does try, Josh Hutcherson really needs to move on from this. Directing, execution of the technical aspects, it was well framed. The story sucks. Oh God, the story sucks. It's kind of like she can't let go of her friends, and there's like these ghost friends. No, it's terrible. It's not a very good movie. So with that being said, the story, it didn't wow me. If you're a fan of the games, I'm gonna give the story some leniency here, because I'm gonna guess, because the fan score is so high, that it does hit all of the story beats or Easter eggs that you may be looking for. But when you look at it as a cinephile, as a movie that you're looking at the first and third act, if you're being critical of this, you would tear this one a new one, simply because it's just not that good of a movie. Cinematography, I'm going to give serviceable, and the score, it's there to serve. So we're sitting at 3.5. Let's go back and try to reconcile the tomato meter here with the critics being so low. There's a great disparity there. 16% by critics, 85% by the audience. So let's try to find some answers here. Let's see what the critics are saying. Film week. This film works. It's better than the first film, actually. No, I can't say that. So these are by people who like it. Let's take a look at LA Times, who didn't. The main problem with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the insistence on maintaining the PG-13 rating. When the scenes of violence healthily increased in this installment, cry out for the use of gore. Yeah. After initially showing some promise, this cash-in sequel devolves into the most achingly shop-worn mechanical batch of mismatched cliches imaginable. It's like a run-down robot. Okay, so you kind of get the sense there that the critics just... they're going to the story. And this LA Times is talking about the violence. Well, it's softball horror. What do you expect? As I said, it was meant for younger kids, and it's like entry-level horror. But it's not going to be one that's going to make you stay up at night sweating, worrying about what's around the corner or what's in your closet. Is this going to be... No, it's not one of those things. It's like Gremlins, right? The first Gremlins. Not the second one. Even though I like the second movie. Chelsea said she loved it. My son loves it. Can't wait to see part 3. Well, I can understand that. Yeah, see, the fans are saying they liked it. They liked the mythos, right? Way better than the first. The first one was definitely better, but they still liked it. Definitely a great theater experience. Experience of the jump scares and comedy mixed in. Yeah, okay. I'll grant you that there is... You could see the mythos trying to fight through this. That there was some backstory going on here that would have been really great if they tried to accent it, but you get stuck with mediocre acting scenes here. And I'm sorry to rag on Josh Hutcherson again, but God, he's not good. he can't carry a film, and it's just one of those things that it's just like, I'm sorry, dude, you're not it. But you need it for this kind of a movie. You shouldn't, but you're spending so much time showing me this character. It's just frustrating. So that's the way I look at it. It's not that great. It's worth seeing on streaming if you maybe you like the first movie and you're a big fan of the franchise. And I'm guessing you're watching this review. If you are, then you are a big fan of the franchise. So I'm sorry to let you down, but the watchability factor is out of 2 points. And if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll want to check this out at least once. But I can't recommend anybody going out and seeing this. You need to see the first movie to understand what's going on in this movie. So you can't come into it cold. 4.5 for Five Nights at Freddy's, and that's a generous 4.5. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Did you see it? And if you did, we'll talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we also reviewed The Housemaid, very good movie, Anaconda, Marty Supreme, Ella McKay, and Eternity right here on Mirror Domains. You know what I did? Arglass says, it took me a year or so to watch the first Five Nights at Freddy's. I reckon I can wait until I have the fast forward at my fingers. Yeah. There's a part in the third part of the movie, that like the conclusion, where it's like you're setting up bigger bad guys. And I like that aspect of it. It's just, it's like a footnote, though. Reference, and it's like is the second movie worthwhile watching just for that little part? No. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's do this. The Housemaid stars Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried and comes in at 74% on the tomato meter, 92 by the audience. So a lot of people like this movie. Now, I got to tell you straight up, I've never read the book that this was based on, so I can't tell you how closely the movie follows that. But the standout here is that definitely Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney here, because the movie is all on their shoulders here. And the setup of this movie over on the IMDb reads, a struggling young woman is relieved by the chance of a fresh start as a maid for a wealthy couple. Soon she discovers that the family's secrets are far more dangerous than her own. So, do you kind of understand what they're talking about there? What do you mean that she's got dangerous secrets, right? And this couple. So they're an upper-class couple here. Amanda Seyfried recruits Sydney Sweeney to be the housemaid. And if you watch the trailers for this, you see that, okay, no, there's something definitely not right here, where it's kind of like, you want me to sleep in this weird room, but then you're going to lock me inside at night kind of thing. And the movie does a good job setting up all the characters. Basically, the daughter is her daughter, and then the husband is just a tech guy or something. He's kind of like the breadwinner, and it's kind of like, okay, I see what's going on here. Obviously, Amanda Seyfried's not right up here, right? And we're going to have to deal with some jealousy and all that kind of stuff. That's what the trailers were selling us. That's a very interesting premise. But my main reaction coming out of the theater from this was, despite the good acting, it's got some serious pacing issues, because the movie comes in at 2 hours and 11 minutes. So if you think about the 3-act structure here, the first act is the setup, right? And that's the setup of she's going to get recruited to be the housemaid, and we're going to learn about the characters, and then we're going to learn about the situation. That Amanda Seyfried is a little bit nutty, and she might be in some serious danger. Okay, well, I understand that, but the movie takes about an hour and 10 minutes to establish all of that. And then it beats you over the head with, okay, no, we get it. Amanda Seyfried is not straight in the head, and she's going to be very abusive in this movie. And it's kind of like, well, how much are we going to tolerate from this? Granted, there's some really good acting in this, but by the 45-minute mark, I was like, this is sadistic. She's obviously really abusive to Sydney Sweeney here, the housemaid. And I kind of get it. And you understand that perhaps there could be some rope-a-dopes, some change-ups of what's going on here, because it's directed by Paul Feig, and he did things like A Simple Favor and stuff like that. But it really suffers from that pacing. Now, I'm guessing that a lot of people like the payoffs in this film, and that's a good way of saying it. This movie has a lot of really good payoffs in the third act, but it takes a long time to get to those payoffs. And it does have some twists in here. But if you are a cinephile and you understand story structure, then you're going to see a lot of those twists coming a mile away. It's kind of like, okay, you're beating a dead horse here with this setup. How possibly can you wow me now by the end of this film? And if you are into this, then those payoffs are going to work for you. They're going to be like, okay, wow, I can't wait to see how this is going to play out. Because I wasn't expecting it to go there, but now I kind of like, ooh, now I'm kind of sympathizing with what was happening with Amanda Seyfried. He's like, how does that possibly happen? But that's the kind of movie that this is, right? It's one of those things where it's just like, once you get to those payoffs, once you get to these big scenes, the selling points of the movie, then you'll be on board. And Brandon Sklenar here, as the husband, does a good job. He's supposed to be that token stud, that he's like the savior of everything wrong in the family, right? And if you don't know, he's my pick to be the next Batman. But everybody does a good job. That's just the way I'm going to say it. Let's go over to my score sheet now and take a look at how I'm going to fill things out here for The Housemaid. And then we'll go back to the tomato meter and take a look at what the critics and audiences are saying. So acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. Acting, Amanda Seyfried puts on a showcase here. She really does. She takes you for the ride. You're seeing it through Sydney Sweeney's point of view, and she does a good job, Sydney Sweeney. She really does. Is it as good as Christie? I don't know. But like the ensemble here, Brandon Sklenar also does good. So I'd give that a 1.5. But then when the payoffs really start to happen towards the end, and you get to see the range of both Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, I got to give it a full 2 points based on that. Now, the execution of the story here, I'm going to knock down a little bit. The technical aspects, it was well framed, but when we talk about the pacing of that, I feel like we could have cut down a lot of that first act where you sold us this bill of goods. We kind of know what it is. You don't need to keep hitting me over the head with it, though. And you'll know what I mean when you watch this movie. It'll be kind of like, well, we know that she's an abusive wife. We know that she's obviously not straight up here. We know all this. Why are you showing this to us again? We're already against her. So you don't need to keep beating us over the head with it, because it does push that line of sadistic, of being really like cruel. But James, that's the point. I know, but it's just like, it gets uncomfortably cruel, right? So the story, it's got a good premise, and it's got some really good payoffs. So I'll give that 1.5. But the directing, I do reserve the right to come back to the directing. Yeah. Cinematography, I'm actually going to give a full point to the cinematography here because we get to see some very interesting shots of the house. Like the house almost becomes another character in the movie because we see her locked in the attic and we see these stairwells and stuff like that. And you get to know the layout of the house. It just becomes like this other entity that helps to play the role of her being trapped in this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you get the idea, right? So 1 out of 10 for the cinematography. The score was pretty much serviceable for the movie. We're sitting at 6 out of 10 right now for The Housemaid. Let's go back to the tomato meter here and see if we can get some consensus from the critics and audience. 74%. Yeah, we're going to be in that ballpark. Not as high as 9 out of 10. But let's see what people are saying in here. Movie Freak. It's a goofily inspired romp through sex, violence, gaslighting, female empowerment, and bloody revenge. It is sexy. This is a it's got a lot of sex appeal. Its core events centered around 2 titanically exuberant performances from the stars. Yeah. This is a movie that knows you know that it knows that you know. It's a tug of war between the audience and these filmmakers, and let me tell you something, they're going to win. Yeah, the payoffs here are the selling point and the big point that people will be like, okay, let's watch this movie, right? So let's take a look at some other critics here. Double Toasted said, The Housemaid is trash. Really? But I'd be damned if I'm not going to say some good trash. Really? Really? Huh. Jack Martin. Much like the book. Okay, here, that's a good one. So this person's read the book. It's flimsy and unmistakably trashy, but The Housemaid seems aware of itself enough to have fun, while still delivering an enjoyably chilling tale weaved in the right kind of cinematic preposterousness. I like that, the use there of preposterousness. Okay, let's take a look at a critic who didn't like it. The established shot. Some is played too straight. Some performances are far too arch, and the script is all over the map, turning on a dime from reasonable to irrational. Yeah. There's a point in the movie where it's like, would you really put up with this kind of abuse? Would you really put up with this kind of abuse? There's got to be some other solutions. And that's what I mean about that first act, where it's kind of like we're getting so masochistic, so sadistic here that the options of hitting the road have got to be more appealing than putting up with this, right? But I think that's what helps sells the third act, but it's kind of like it takes a long time to get there. Let's see what the audience is saying here. For this movie, just as captivating as the book. Amazing acting. Hated this movie. I would rate it in the horror category. Yeah, there's some horrific stuff that happens in here because we're talking about, as I said, really cruel and sadistic cutting kind of stuff. Like, yeah, there's some horrific stuff in here for sure. And that's where it kind of got me, where I kind of like, well, I'm a big horror aficionado, right? But as I said, even for me, we're really pushing the limits of good taste. Yeah, a great throwback to the 80s and 90s domestic thrillers. So nice to see that genre make a great comeback. Okay. Well, let's see what the consensus says here for the audience. Juicy and satisfying pop fare, The Housemaid offers a tantalizing peek through the proverbial peephole, sure to delight both newcomers and fans of the novel. Critics, a sly throwback to the lurid thrillers that used to dominate multiplexes. The Housemaid cleans up nicely thanks to its wicked sense of fun and a delightfully unnerving performance by Amanda Seyfried. Yeah, Amanda Seyfried is amazing in this film and is the highlight. So you get the gist of where I'm going with this. So, that being said, let's wrap up this score and get us out of here, with the watchability factor being out of a possible 2 points. So, if you read the book, you'll definitely be wanting to check this out in theaters if you can. See it with a big audience if you can, because there's going to be points in this where you'll be cheering and going. But if you catch it on streaming, that's just as well. Would I watch this again? It's a tough watch, man. It really is. But the acting is worthwhile. The acting is worth studying, especially from Amanda Seyfried here. Yeah, 7.5 for The Housemaid. That sounds about right. I would fight to get it to an 8. I really would. And I think that would have to come out of, where can I give that other point? Directing? No, I can't. But it's just, I'm struggling. No, I can't. 7.5 out of 10 for The Housemaid. I really do. I really would have liked to have given it an 8, but we got to be realistic here. So what did you guys think? 7.5 for The Housemaid. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Did it follow the book? It's a good movie, and it's worth seeing. Straight up. If you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel, because we just reviewed Anaconda and Marty Supreme, as well as Ella McKay, Eternity, and the stinky Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Right here on Mirror Domains. Anaconda stars Paul Rudd and Jack Black and comes in at 53% on the tomato meter, 77 by the audience. Oy. I don't know then. Does this mean that it was a good movie or a bad movie? Well, it's a reboot of the original Anaconda that was, well, it was no masterpiece in itself. It wasn't Shakespeare. 40% by the critics, 24% by the audience for the original film, the J-Lo film. But it was a fan favorite, a cult classic, if you will. How does this new re-envisioning of Anaconda come across? Well, they take it for laughs. They play it up for jokes, kind of like, okay, we're having fun here. It's all silly. The premise is that they're trying to reboot Anaconda on a budget, and it's supposed to be funny.
Maybe it'll be okay.
But it's sadly not that funny. It's kind of a trite film, actually, to tell you the truth. Coming in at an hour and 39 minutes, the runtime is a bit long, actually. This is the kind of movie that should be like an hour and 25 minutes, but it tells the tale of a group of friends that are going through a midlife crisis that decide to remake a favorite movie of their youth, but encounter unexpected events when they enter the jungle. So, Jack Black is somebody who makes wedding movies, wedding films, and Paul Rudd is a washed-up actor who just can't find work. So, out of desperation, he tries to get his childhood friends here, played by Steve Zahn and Tendaway Newton, and Jack Black back to make a reboot of the Anaconda movie. And if you saw the trailers for this, you kind of like, well, it has a cheekiness to it that could be funny. Like, I mean, look at that. We're seeing Jack Black have this weird pig strapped to him, and it's supposed to be funny, right? This is funny, except this doesn't happen until like you barely see the snake. It's just one of those movies where it felt like, here's the script, and then we've got all these good actors, but let's let them ad-lib a bunch of stuff, and then we'll try to cut a movie around that. And, you know, you've heard me say that, well, you could tell that they were having fun on the set, and hopefully that fun translates to the big screen. That didn't happen for Anaconda. You could tell that, okay, yeah, they were probably having fun on the set, making this movie, joking with each other, laughing about some scenes, ad-libbing a bunch of stuff, but it didn't translate to the screen, man. This is probably one of the first movies, well, now that we're done 2025, it was the only movie of 2025 that made me want to actually get up and walk out of the theater. It was just that bad. And when I say it was trite, it was trite. It was just, we know what we're doing here. We know that we're poking fun at you and the audience. We know that we're having fun with this whole scenario, with this ridiculousness. We're trying to play it seriously, though, guys. Seriously. And it's like, no, just have fun, silly fun with it. Don't try to guilt trip me into it's just not executed all that well. And it sucks because these are all talented people. I liked Steve Zahn and Jack Black working together. They've had some good comedies in the background before, in the back history. And Tantaway Newton's awesome. She really is. But Paul Rudd here comes off as a serious butthead. Like, you don't like Paul Rudd in this movie. And you realize that 20 minutes in the film. So it's kind of like, we don't like him. Why would we ever sympathize with him? And there's a few scenes at the end that try to have like this cameo, oh my God, look at that kind of thing. But it doesn't work. And I said it in my initial response, like the first Anaconda is no masterpiece here. It's not high art with J-Lo and Jon Voight. But at least in that movie, you kind of were scared of the snake, even though it was like a mix of animatronics and CG. Like, there's a campiness about it. It was taking itself seriously as well, but it knew it was schlock, right? They knew it was B-movie fare, and they played into that. And that's what made it work. This one just felt like, you're making fun of us. You're making fun of making fun. And that doesn't work. So you get where I'm going with this. Am I going to be as low as 53? Maybe, but I'm definitely not going to be high as 77. So if you go into this movie and turn off your brain, you watch this with scrolling through YouTube or Facebook or something, and you're just kind of like occasionally looking at the movie, you may be a 77%, but for the most part, you'll be like, if you actually had to sit there and watch the substance of this movie, hey, you're in for a trip. So let's go over to the score sheet here and start filling in some numbers for Anaconda, because I want to showcase where I'm sitting at it for acting, directing, and story. Or out of 2 points, cinematography and score are out of 1. Acting, it's serviceable. It is serviceable. Is there a performance in here that's, you gotta check it out for this? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I would love to say Tantaway Newton, but like this is sitcom acting. This is very TV acting, and you'll see that because the quick cuts, the dialogue is so shoddy. It's not good. It's not good, guys, and it sucks because Jack Black and Paul Rudd are cool, man. It's so Steve Zahn and Tantaway Newton. And the guy that they bring in to be the Wrangler this time is just putting on this really bad accent. It's god awful. Directing, execution of the story, technical aspects, even the CG stuff towards the end is not all that well integrated. Like, I see fan-made films using AI done on YouTube that's much better than this. You paid money for this visual effects? It's atrocious. Yeah, Anaconda, what is it? Hunt for the Blood Orchid, Curse of the Black Blood Orchid. They had much better visual effects than this movie. And this is 2025, for Christ's sakes. All right, story. it has an interesting premise that they're trying to reinvigorate their youth, their love for film. But it's cookie cutter. It is TV movie, man. It really is TV movie. And as I said, there's a couple of times where I just wanted to say, like, okay, I get where they're going with this. I know that they're going to defeat the snake at the end. I don't know if I really want to sit here and watch it. So we're sitting at 2.5 out of 10. Oh, for this monstrosity. Could I give it any more? Okay, fine. I'll give acting at least a full point. Because I do like Jack Black. He's the best part. Tandaway Newton is also good enough. But like we're sitting at 3 out of 10 for Anaconda. Let's go back to the tomato meter and try to make some sense out of this. Because I think the score is going to come down. The critics say the premise might be ripe for a raucous action comedy, but this meta reboot of Anaconda can't detach its jaws wide enough to swallow so many conflicting tones. That's a good way of saying it. It's got a lot of conflicting tones. Like, as I said, there's one point where they want you to take it seriously that these characters got caught up in Paul Rudd's nonsense and they're trying to have a serious moment and they're capable of pulling it off. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in this film, right? Audience says Anaconda is a worthwhile expedition thanks to the buoyant charisma of Black, Rudd, and Zahn, who make this a meta-comedy as delightfully ridiculous as it is tongue-in-snake. Now, but even Zahn here, he's playing somebody who's got addiction issues and he's relapsing in the middle of the film. It's funny, right? So an addict relapsing. That's funny. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I don't know what they were doing. Oh my God. Indian Express, the new version of one of Hollywood's most popular creature features, is so desperate to pitch in the laughs along with the scares that it renders everything dull and diluted. Yeah. And they've got this weird story that cuts through this movie about gold hunters. And it's like, what? Why are we spending 10 minutes learning about these gold hunters? Yeah, it's nonsensical. It's a tough watch, and it's so tough a watch that by the third act, when everything's paying off, and they try to wow you with a few cameos, those cameos are cringe. Like this, Anaconda defines the use of cringe. So. If you can turn off your brain and watch it while scrolling through Instagram, then you might have a response like Eric E. here that says, the plot was good. Jack Black is hilarious. I couldn't agree with you on anymore. I can't agree with you. Jack Black is hilarious. He's just not hilarious in this movie. The movie should be taken for what it is, a lighthearted comedy with tons of laughs and several hysterical moments. What laughs? What laughs? As I said, maybe seeing Jack Black run through the jungle with a pig on his back is fun for some, but like this is supposed to be like one of the big showcase sequences of the movie that they show you in the trailer, and look at those snake effects. That's terrible. I don't know what you were thinking. With this is I want to show you the peak of when it comes out here, because it just kind of like materializes in the grass, and this is what I mean by how some like you'll see that it just blips, and all of a sudden it's there. It's not pushing over any grass or anything to get through. All of this grass would be being pushed. Yeah, it's not good, guys. Anaconda. Yeah. Maybe if you had a few, or, it wasn't for me. So you get the picture here. Let's go back to my score sheet and wrap things up for Anaconda. Watchability factors out of a possible 2 points. And I gotta say, if you are a fan of any of these actors, you might want to check this out. If you are a fan of the franchise, at least, and you want to see what they did with this reboot, and you hear these cameo rumors maybe, like, is that really going to wow the film? It's worthwhile on streaming. And it's worthwhile on streaming so you can fast forward, because some of the stuff you'll be like, gold miners, gold thieves. What are you talking about? Why are we watching this 10-minute sequence with gold? This is like, what? This has nothing to do with the Anaconda movie, by the way. I mean, it's just like, 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 for Anaconda. Possibly one of the worst movies of the year. It'll be on my worst movies of the year list. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel, because we also reviewed Marty Supreme, as well as Ella McKay, Eternity, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and The Housemaid. Movies are my bag, and I like talking with you about them right here on Mirror Domains. Yeah, let's take some live comments. I see that Hourglass there wants to chime in with some stuff. Did I really have high hopes, though, for Anaconda? Not really. Like, I wanted to go into Anaconda, and I just wanted to have, like, a big bag of popcorn, and just turn my brain off and have some laughs. Unfortunately, the movie's just not all that funny. It really isn't. Let's turn on some live comments here. Jack and Paul are doing a good job selling their chemistry and humor in the press junkets. I'm happy to wait to stream it or not. Yeah, it's worthwhile on streaming. That's why I gave the watchability factor a full point, because out of curiosity, right? Okay, it's a reboot, and Tendaway Newton is like, she's awesome. But the joke is that, okay, Paul Rudd's not a very good actor. It never comes back. It doesn't, and that's supposed to be the joke, that he's not a good actor, but he doesn't ever have that out in the open and come to the realization of it. And stupidly, he gets rewarded for it in the end. It's just, I don't know. But Tendaway is awesome. In fact, I wanted to check out, what else has she got up on her queue? Oh, she was in Wednesday season 2. I need to still watch that. Cry to Heaven, the Wanted Man TV series. Cry to Heaven pre-production, eh? What's that? Is that one of those religious movies? Follows Tonio, a nobleman. What? I'm not reading that. Who rises to fame as a soprano under the guidance of opera star Guido. The story explores betrayal, identity, and redemption. From Anne Rice. The vampire novelist Anne Rice? Is that? It's got Colin Firth, Nicholas Hoult. No, it's not the novelist Anne Rice. This Anne Rice died in 2021. What? And still, somehow, this movie got made or written? Must be a really old script that they were shopping around. But it's got Kieran Hines. Cool. Hunter Schafer. I like Hunter Schafer. George McCay. Mark Strong. Paul Bettany. And Tendaway Newton. Interesting. So, who's Hunter Schafer? What's she in next? Kinds of Kindness, The Gentle Monster. She's got 8 upcoming projects: Mother Mary, Euphoria, Cry to Heaven, Blade Runner 2099 TV miniseries, Untitled A24. Shows she's working. Yeah, what was that movie that we watched? That horror movie? No, we didn't. I didn't watch along that one. We should have. Cuckoo. right? Anyway, let's not digress. Let's get back on track. Jack Black and Minecraft hit 1 billion. Anaconda seems too much of a cash grab to do the same. It'll probably end up being a cult classic. I don't know, though. I don't know, because you can tell that's what they were trying to shoot for. They were trying to shoot to have it become a cult classic. And it didn't land. For at least for me, it didn't land. It seemed like it landed for some people, but I just don't know. Alrighty. Where are we at? How long have we been streaming here for? We've been streaming for over an hour. Wow, this is taking me for over an hour to get through. But these will be chopped up and put up on the channel later on. All right. Let's get on to this Marty Supreme. I think this was like one of the most anticipated for people, right? Sorry, I'm just trying to find a decent spot here in the... All right. Did I mute it? No, I didn't. Did I take this? I think we're good to go. Marty Supreme stars Timothée Chalamet and Gwyneth Paltrow and is directed by Josh Safdie, and it tells the tale of a young, pinballer. I was about to call him pinballer. No, a table tennis star. There we go. That's better, right? All right. Let's try this again. Marty Supreme stars Timothée Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, and is directed by Josh Safdie, and it tells the tale of a young man with a dream no one respects, goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. And indeed, the trailers showed us a bill of goods where it looked like it was going to be a coming of, not age, but a feel-good story of this underdog who tries to sell the world of table tennis and how popular it's going to become and his fight and rise to success. That's what the trailers were trying to sell us. Is this movie about that? No, it's not. In fact, there's big swaths of this film that don't have any table tennis in it at all. Because as we learn about Marty Supreme, we find that he's got a lot of problems going on in his life. Yes, family problems, relationship problems, financial problems. He's a bit of a weasel. He tries to weasel his way up the ladder, and that's part of the charm of what this movie was trying to do, and I think it does do for a lot of people. It comes in at a high 94% by critics, 84% by the audience, that it's trying to sell this jaded character fighting for what he believes in and is right, that he knows the way to the top of the ladder. And unfortunately, Marty Supreme is a character that he's not that likable. And we've seen movies in the past where we've had not likable characters, like one of my favorite movies, There Will Be Blood, right? Daniel Plainview is not a very likable character because he does cruel things. but it's Marty Mauser's not like that. he's a pompous, arrogant prick. And Timothée Chalamet does a great job of showcasing that pompous arrogance. I'm the best, and I'll show you that I'm the best. And while some bad things do happen to him, you just never get the sense that he internalizes that the error of his ways, right? You never get the sense that he learned from his mistakes. This comes from one of the directors that helped to create Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, about, well, a gambler, a compulsive gambler who gets in over his head, and he's not a very likable character either, because he cheats everything. He tries to make excuses for everything. He never takes ownership for everything. And that movie is good because it pays off in the way that he gets what's coming to him. Does Marty Supreme, does he get what's coming to him? Sort of, but it's not done in a way that I felt like was really satisfying to me. I felt like maybe on a second viewing that would hit home a little bit better for me, but my initial response to it was kind of like, you don't like this guy. You're not supposed to like this guy. Okay, I get it. But the trailer sold me the bill of goods that this was going to be a feel-good story of how this star of table tennis made it popular, how he became like the number one in the world. He doesn't become the number one in the world. It's like it's shades of of Uncut Gems. It's kind of like it's a bit of a bummer kind of story, right? It's a mean-spirited story. Odessa Zion was the standout here for me. Odessa, if you don't know, she was in this year's Until Dawn movie, Odessa, as Zion. She plays kind of like the girlfriend here. And she was also in that Hellraiser reboot a few years back, where I guess a lot of us really took notice of her in that movie. She's like the main character and calls out Pinhead, and she's got a lot of inner turmoil in that movie, and she's got a lot of inner turmoil in this movie because she's trying to be the girlfriend to Marty Supreme, who's always running away to try to chase his dreams, and he sells everybody out, backstabs everybody, steals things, and it's kind of like, you don't like him, but the supporting cast around Timothée Chalamet here is all really, really good. So is Timothée Chalamet, because you don't like him. You're not, and as I said, I don't think you're supposed to like him. But the standouts, I think this is the best I've seen of Gwyneth Paltrow in a while. There's like this weird romance going on in here where it's kind of like, I don't know why she likes him. I understand why he likes her, because she's a washed up Hollywood actress, and maybe the first time she just gives in to the charm of this over-the-top, arrogant little weasel, right? But yeah, Odessa here is also, she's great as the girlfriend, and she's got a lot of talent. 25 years old. I want to see her in more stuff. Upcoming, she's got Stranger Things Tales from 85 TV series. Wait, I don't know if there's going to be a spin-off on that. Is there post-production? So they already shot it. I Love LA, more TV stuff. Nichols, and For the Night. But you may recognize her from that Until Dawn movie, right? Remember that horror movie that came out earlier this year where they were reliving their deaths over and over again, and every time they died, the night reset? She was in that. Like, she's a talented actress. So, culminating in all that stuff, do you think that I'm going to be as high as a 94% on this? No. Will I be around 84? Is it one of the better movies of the year? Well, according to this, these kinds of numbers, people would say that it is one of the better movies of the year. And I don't even think it would crack my top 10. Because it's not one of those movies where I want to go back and watch it again. It's kind of like Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley. You know how in Nightmare Alley, you're watching Bradley Cooper, who's not a very good character, very good guy. I mean, he cheats everybody. He steals from everybody. He's trying to swindle his way to the top. Well, that's exactly what Marty Supreme is doing. He's trying to swindle his way to the top. He doesn't make it. And is it worthwhile watching? Like, just, yes. So, with some pain, I tell you that it's a good movie. So, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point. For the ensemble, and because of what Timothée Chalamet does here, I'm going to give a full 2 points, straight up. Directing, it's well shot. I think there's some CG backgrounds in here that really do help sell it because it's a period piece. They go over to Japan or whatever to shoot some stuff, and it's like, well, they're not really in Japan kind of stuff. So a lot of the technical aspects are handled very well here, but it comes down to the execution of the story. The pacing does move fast, but there's just a few things here where you think about it character-wise. Like, does this character actually learn from their mistakes? Is this a story that you would watch again because of this character? I don't know. Some people might, depending on where they are in their lives. The story, it's not what I thought the trailer. I thought it would be like this guy proves to the world that, yes, table tennis is a big sporting event for some people, and he's going to rise to the top. He's going to use his skill to sell the game to the world and the masses, but that's not what the movie is about. You spend a lot of time learning about hustles, swindling and lying to people. But the acting was well enough done that I gotta give it a full 1.5. The cinematography, based on some of the stuff that I've been telling you about, the integration of some of the backgrounds and stuff like that, because it's a period piece, it's well shot. The score, there's some needle drops in here that will work for some. And I know that some reviewers will give, like, the needle drops. It uses a good mix of, like, newer stuff with that older age style. I could give it a full point. I'll reserve the right to come back to that. But let's go back to the tomato meter here, as we're sitting at 6.5, and see what the consensus of critics and audience here. Serving up Timothée Chalamet at his most infectious, charismatic, Marty Supreme is a propulsive epic that realizes its sky-high aspirations even while it critiques its indelible hero toxic ambition. I was just thinking about the opening sequence and my use of cinematography and visual effects. If you know the opening sequence, it's quite sexual in nature. Vulgar. It's not vulgar, James. It's natural human making stuff. Well, yeah, that's what I mean by good cinematography. And Timothée Chalamet does a good job acting in this. He does. He's charismatic enough to make you like this not so good dude. Audience says, a gripping odyssey about a nobody who wants to be somebody. Marty Supreme unfolds like a game of table tennis, explosive, unpredictable, and defined by agile movements executed with both passion and precision. But that's the thing. It shows you the table tennis stuff, which I found very fascinating. And they were talking about the grips that the Japanese use and stuff like that. And I really wish that we got more into that stuff. But instead, we're working with, I got to hustle this guy to make a few bucks. It's like, it's not, yeah, I don't know. And as I said, that stuff may improve now on a second viewing. Now that I know that I shouldn't be expecting the table tennis stuff, then it may, like, my perception of it will improve upon a second viewing, is what I'm trying to say. Irish Times. For all the trademark safety unease, Marty Supreme remains an enormously good time at the cinema. The 150 minutes speed by as we encounter an array of brilliantly cast cameos. It does have a lot of well, I wouldn't say cameos, but it's got an interesting cast. It's got a few people in here that you'd be like, oh, like Tyler the Creator, Fran Drescher. It's good to see her working. It really is. And she's a good actress. Sandra Bernhard. Was it Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller? He's in this. But this is definitely the best I've seen Gwyneth Paltrow in a while. It is. I know that some people say that she's contrite or whatever, like full of herself. But she's good in this film. Because you can see a little bit of anguish. She doesn't like the guy either, but she's still hooked in by the charisma. And I guess that goes as another testament to Timothée Chalamet's skills. So granted, yes, there's a great performance, great performances in this. And that's gonna be enough for people to be like, you got to see this movie, you got to check this out. This has got to be one of the best movies of the year. But no, I don't think so. I don't think it's one of the better movies of the year. But I can't really contest somebody who says that it's good enough because of the acting performances in it. It's just not one of those movies that I want to sit down and watch again. That's what I would say. Let's see what some of the audience say. Acting may have been okay, but the manic pace at which the main character disrupts the lives of those around him in any other manner would be disrespectful, or something like that. Great movie and great performances all around. Probably not a movie for everyone, but I was hooked and enthralled the entire runtime. The movie doesn't stop to take a breath. And that's okay. That's where the pacing of it for the 2.5 hours, it is well said. Like, you don't feel that time. You just wish that you were watching a little bit of a different story. Oh, God, Kevin O'Leary at one point is like, you put that paddle down. Reason to see is Chalamet's incredible performance. Yeah, exactly. Reason not to see this movie is entirely too long, so some people had some issues with the pacing, but 94% is high. 84 is probably more the ballpark that I would go in. 84%. Let's go back to the score sheet here and wrap it up. Watchability is out of a possible 2 points each, and 2 points. And I gotta say, if you like the premise of the trailer, if you're a fan of Chalamet, you'll want to check it out at least once. And based on the ensemble and the acting performances all around, you will want to go back and look at some of the scenes in particular, because there's some showcase stuff in here where you get to see the full talents on display. 8 out of 10. That's good. I think that's where I want to sit for Marty Supreme. Yeah, I think that's about where I'm going to sit. 8 out of 10 for Marty Supreme. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Let's pull up some live chat comments here. Let's go and pull up what people are saying, because we filmed this live. We'll pull down this poster. Our Glass says, I was hoping Marty Supreme was a cross between Catch Me If You Can and weirdly Tetris. A great thrilling movie. I never saw the Tetris movie. That was with Edgerton, right? Taryn? Yeah, it was trying, yeah. It was more like Catch Me If You Can, because it's not about, well, it's just because he is trying to hustle his way to the top, right? He's trying to hustle his way to victory. It's like, well, the trailers made it more seem like, for me at least, the trailers made it seem like he was going to use his skill and his ability on the table tennis arena to win everybody over. He was going to use that skill. Instead, he was using his more nefarious skills. So with that being said, 8 out of 10 for Marty Supreme. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel, because we just reviewed Ella McKay, Eternity, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Housemaid, and Anaconda right here on Mirror Domains. All right, that took way longer than I thought. Because of that screw up in the beginning, which I'll cut out. Maybe I'll just cut it out right now and just put it up as a normal video and just get rid of the live stream sidebar. Nah, that is. I was going to do the top 10 of the year and worst of the year, but I think I'm going to have to move it to the next day because I'm supposed to step out for a luncheon. I just didn't think it would take me this long. But we'll get to the best and worst list of the year for tomorrow, I think. I'm really enjoying this. This is cool, man. A luxury item for sure, but I think it's working great. Like I'm hoping it's silent enough that I can just switch in between like that. It's great that I don't have to be typing on the keyboard for it, and I can adjust the sound of the YouTube video here with the dials. I don't need to show off my stuff. It's just fun. And I apologize. I need to do the Stranger Things episode 8 last night. It's just, it dropped at 8 o'clock, and I thought that I would be able to get over to the movie theater in time to watch it there, but I was just out doing stuff, right, guys? It was New Year's Eve. I mean, I'm sorry. We will get to it. Maybe later tonight I'll try to jump on and do a live reaction for the Stranger Things finale. I just don't know if I'm prepared to watch everybody die. Bifer in the live chat says, please live react to Survivor 50 starting February 25th. I do want to do that because it's the All-Star season. Ozzy's coming back. I didn't realize that there was another Hell's Kitchen that slid underneath the radar. We should have done that. It's a bummer. But my semester starts next week, so we'll try to get through this stuff. I'm taking the next semester off of work, so hopefully that'll give me enough time to do all my studies and do stuff like this too. Because it does take time, guys. Even though that I'm doing it live, it still takes time. And I do want to somehow fiddle around with this to cover it up and not get the slap on the wrist. I'm thinking that what I may do is just keep it on this and then use my fillers for this. Like for when I'm recording live, a reaction live, it'll always be on this screen. But then when I'm done the reaction and the review part, I'll go back to the scenes I really like and just film what I need from this angle. And then, I don't know. It's just, I really didn't like getting slapped on the wrist for episode 7. Because we had some good stuff. I said some really good stuff about episode 7, especially towards the end scene there with Will and his big reveal that we all saw coming a mile away. Enjoy your lunch, James, and your new toy. Cool, man. 2026. Yeah. Ons and upwards. Please watch Culinary Class War 2. Let me turn off this. Please watch Culinary Class War 2. It's better than Hell's Kitchen, is it? I just liked Hell's Kitchen because I like Gordon and I like Christina. All right. Is that it? The only other movie that I have to see this year before I wanted to do my best of was Hamnet, which I hear is mixed. And I have to go to the Art House Theater to see it. And maybe tomorrow I'll try to get out there by 12:30 to see Hamnet. And then I want to do my best. I don't think Hamnet's going to end up on my worst, so maybe I'll do my worst movies of the year list first. but I do need to see Hamnet. And I'm getting more than enough chances to see Hamnet. I know that some people are mixed on it, but I just want to be able to see it before I give you guys my best of the year list. All right. Guys, Happy New Year. Enjoy the rest of your day. This will be chopped up and put up on the separate channel later on when I got time. If not, I'll see you next time for episode 8 of Stranger Things, Survivor, all that stuff. It's coming up right here on Mirror Domains.